Okay, so let's watch Dan's vid here, and I will jump in with my thoughts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my recap of the 97th Annual Academy Awards. That's right, another Oscar ceremony is behind us. It was an award season that turned out to be a bit more thrilling than the award show itself, but it's still the culmination of months of speculation and reporting and scandal.
Did you see Brody's IG today? No, I didn't.
And everything else
Sam,
that we
so
saw
thank you
this
for the 20
year.
months.
And as seemed to crystallize towards the end of the award season, Anora was the big winner at the Oscars. It was really just a Best Actor win away from sweeping the Big Five awards with wins for editing, original screenplay, director, actress, and Best Picture. Sean Baker actually tied a record that Walt Disney held for most Oscars won in a single night. Walt Disney.
And next year, they are introducing the category of Best Casting. So this is a new category, and had that category been at this year's Oscars, Sean Baker could have walked away with a fifth Oscar because he is the one who did the casting on the film. So, yes, for all my casting sycophants, you are finally going to be getting your category next year.
Disney won 3 Shorts Awards and the Documentary Feature Award back in 1954. Baker is the first person to win 4 Oscars.
If I had to give casting a if I had to award casting from this year, I would have done Sing Sing.
Oscars for the same movie and for directing, editing, writing, and producing a film. To put this into context, in one night, Sean Baker won more Academy Awards than Steven Spielberg has in his entire career. Others have come close to achieving this. James Cameron won 3 Oscars for editing, directing, and producing Titanic, but the movie was not nominated for its screenplay. Francis Ford Coppola won 3 Oscars for writing, directing, and producing The Godfather 2, but he didn't edit it, and the movie wasn't even nominated. The Daniels won 3 Oscars for writing, directing, and producing Everything Everywhere All at Once, but they didn't edit it, even though the movie won Best Editing. The closest we really have is Bong Joon-ho. He won 3 Academy Awards for producing, writing, and directing Parasite, but he did not officially win the award for Best International Feature because that award goes to the country, not the director. So while Bong Joon-ho accepted 4 Oscars, he actually only won 3. And if you're going to have somebody go up and make 4 speeches, I think that Sean Baker was probably the best case scenario because I thought that all of his speeches were well written, they were enthusiastic, they seemed genuine, they were brief.
So I think that's another category that we need to change. Okay, Best International Feature. So the reason why International Feature works the way that it does... Hold on 1 second. Farley, hold on. Farley. Stop. Who is it? Farley, come here. Farley, come. Farley. What'd you get? I'm okay. Thanks, though. No, I was just seeing. Thank you, though. Thank you. Okay, so we were talking about Best International. Yes, Best International Feature. So the way that it works right now is that a country can submit one film. And if that film wins, then the win goes to the country. So when Parasite won Best International Feature, that was not a win for Bong Joon-ho. It was technically a win for Korea. So I'm Still Here, which won this year, the win doesn't get attributed to Walter Salles. It goes to the country because it's the country's formal submission. And so it goes to Brazil. Even though if it had gone to Walter Salles, it would have been like Brazil still would have celebrated. It would have still been a, massive W and very exciting for Brazil. And the reason that they did this is because they wanted to prevent all 5 of the, nominees being from France, right? France, which has a long running film industry that has, for a lot of film history, there were not vibrant film industries in that many countries. France was one that has always, just really is almost as long as the United States had a massive film industry. So they wanted to keep it from it being like, and here's a film from France, and here's another French film, and here's another French film, and here's another French film. So that's why they made it so that countries can only submit one film, and France actually has a tendency to submit not their best film. Never forgive France for not submitting Anatomy of a Fall. And because more countries now have these film industries that have really blossomed, and they are not only producing a lot of great films, but films that people are watching and that are getting international attention. So I think or Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Yeah. French L after French L. I think that they should change it back so that international feature goes to the director of the film.
Like some other speeches that we're going to talk about. And I particularly liked his Best Director speech, where he gave an impassioned defense of the theatrical experience.
Movie theaters, especially independently owned theaters, are struggling, and it's up to us to support them.
Now, as I've said on this channel many times before, it is up to the theaters themselves to step their game up with lower prices and by improving the experience on their end.
I just have to say, too, the fucking irony of Sean Baker talking about independent cinema and going to the movie theaters, and how 1,000 independent movie theaters shut their doors because of the pandemic, and that the Oscars were being streamed on Hulu, and Hulu had one fucking job and they couldn't do it, which meant that a lot of people watching the Oscars missed out on Best Actress and Best Picture because Hulu went down. The broadcast got fucked up. So just the irony in Sean Baker being like, we need to support independent filmmaking, go to the movie theaters to watch movies, and more importantly, go to independent movie theaters, support independent movie theaters. And Hulu just absolutely shit the bed when they were broadcasting the show. Mine stopped working 30 minutes into the show for me. Oh God, it was worse than that. Hulu missed like the whole first hour. Hulu, what happened? What are you doing? You had one job. One job.
I also liked the moment when he was accepting Best Director when he thanked Quentin Tarantino for casting Mikey Madison in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because that led to him casting her in Anora. And I'll actually go one step further in this Quentin Tarantino butterfly effect thing. If Quentin Tarantino hadn't cast John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, then I don't think that Travolta would have had the career resurgence that he did. And if he hadn't had that career resurgence, then we wouldn't have gotten one of the best Oscar moments of all time.
The wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
So really what I guess I'm saying is that Quentin Tarantino is almost single-handedly responsible for all of the great Oscar moments in the
Honestly, the Oscars should partner with Twitch and have you do the Oscars. Yes, 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 yes.
past 30 years. But speaking of Mikey Madison, let's turn now to the Best Actress race, which was one... Okay, I'm sorry, I could not...
Oh my God, he got me. He got me. And I'm so stupid. I'm like, I was like, what?
resist doing that. I apologize. For those of you that may not get the joke, this is a reference to the fact that here in the United States, Hulu, which was simulcasting the Oscar ceremony alongside ABC, actually cut the Oscar ceremony off early after it ran over its allotted time. A problem that was solved in approximately 1987 when people figured out that you can program your VCR to record later than when a show is supposed to end. In Hulu's defense, who could have predicted that the Academy Awards were going to run long? I mean, that almost never happens. And who could have predicted that a lot of people would want to watch it? So you should maybe make sure that, you know, your billion-dollar streaming service should be able to handle all of the traffic. It was a really bad look for Hulu last night because they were trying to hype so much that they were the new viewing destination of the Academy Awards for a new generation. And yet, unless you were watching on linear broadcast TV,
why didn't it do that for Adrian Brody's speech? It should have cut out and then come back in after his speech.
We weren't able to see the end of the show, which is kind of, you know, important. It's especially worse because as of the time that I'm recording this video, which is around 2:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, there's not even a replay available of the Academy Awards on Hulu itself. So if you missed it, well, sorry, you're out of luck. Anyway, back to Mikey Madison. She did take the Oscar in the hotly contested Best...
Wait, I have to show you guys this clip. Okay. Look at... So, first of all, I just have to say another thing about the show. Okay, overall with the Oscars, one thing that I've noticed is there's not as much star power there as there used to be. So, obviously, the people who are nominated, and there's a lot of A-listers who are nominated, they'll likely go to the show, you know, usually go to the show. But the Oscars used to be like Hollywood prom, where everybody who was a major star in Hollywood went. It was like the place to be every year. And you would see them like interacting at the show. You know, there would always be the pictures afterwards at the fancy Vanity Fair party. And one thing I've noticed is like less and less major stars in Hollywood are going to the Oscars if they don't have a reason to. And so you're missing, you know, also I guess Christopher Nolan is filming The Odyssey and like half of Hollywood's biggest names are in that. So like maybe that's why they weren't there. But jokes aside, I have noticed that the Oscars kind of seem to, I don't know, the star power of the Oscars has diminished a bit, and we just don't see the who's who of Hollywood there anymore. And additionally, at the show last night, they did very little crowd work. We got very, very, very little shots of people in the audience besides like Timothée Chalamet. And that was also a really fun part of the show, is that you would see like, oh my God, Meryl Streep is sitting next to Angelina Jolie, or, you know, here's Jennifer Aniston and Sandra Bullock next to each other. And so like the carpet was always, you know, a lot of people who were not nominated in the show, but still like, we love them and they look fabulous and we ooh and ah over them. And so missing out on the reactions, I guess the broadcast this year very much so was like, we're just not going to shoot the crowd. Maybe it's because a lot of the seats were being filled by non-A-list folks, you know, where it's like, okay, not as fun to show the crowd when you don't have the who's who of Hollywood comprising the majority of the audience. The other thing, though, that I noticed is that they saved all of their reaction shots for Best Actress, where it's like, oh, okay, now you're doing shots of the crowd and specifically of Demi Moore. So you're showing her after she has lost the award that she was pretty damn sure she was going to win. That's what we call clip farming. Yep. But anyway, I need you guys to see Jack Antonoff, who is sitting behind, you know, so Margaret Qualley is right behind her and she's married to Jack Antonoff. Look at his reaction when Mikey Madison's name is called.
Mikey Madison.
He goes,
Mikey Madison.
oh, and then Demi.
Madison.
Clip farming, but not showing any clips. Yeah, that's another thing that we'll talk about. Oh, man. God, you just have to have such a poker face on, too. You have to have such a poker face. And, like, recently, Angela Bassett, she did an interview, and she was talking about how she was disappointed that she didn't win the Oscar. And she's like, I felt like I deserved to win. And she didn't necessarily, it's not like she denigrated Jamie Lee Curtis. That job is being left to me. But she openly was like, yes, I thought I was going to win, and I was incredibly disappointed that I didn't win. And I'm like, I think that should be normalized. I think that people who lose Oscars, that they think they're going to win and also feel very deserving of winning, they should just get to say it, right? Like, Demi should get to be visibly disappointed. She should get to be like, what the fuck? You know? And instead,
Mikey Madison.
She has to be so composed, and she's got to, you know, appear humble and like, no, I didn't expect to win this, and I'm totally fine. And I'm like, I'm giving you full permission to be like, do it, okay? You lose the Oscar, you think you're gonna win, be like, that's what I think that they should get to do. You know? just, you know what? We're not holding things in anymore, okay? We're not holding things in. We are in a new era. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. And anyway, she should have reacted like Diane. You know what? You can always count on Diane Warren. You can always count on Diane Warren to give you what you need, except a great song and a great movie. Oh my God, I cannot wait to talk about the Emilia Perez songwriters winning. I cannot wait. Okay, so back to this.
Best Actress race against Demi Moore. She's the 9th youngest Best Actress winner of all time. And honestly, I am both happy for her and I'm sad for Demi Moore. This is one of those years where there had to be one winner and one person that didn't win, unless it was going to tie, which has only happened one time in the Best Actress race. And we just happened to have what I thought were two really good performances competing for one award. I don't think that Demi's loss should take away from Mikey Madison's win. I'm really looking forward to what they both do next. And in case you're wondering, I looked it up and it's a birthmark, not a hickey. Moving on.
Okay, so a couple thoughts. Logan, thank you for the 7 months. Couple thoughts. So my ultimate pick was Demi Moore. People thought it was a hickey. I thought she was just like, if I touch my skin, it will become red. Like, I just have very sensitive skin. So I assumed it was like nerves, or, you know, she had just done something like that. Yeah, that's how my skin reacts. So I was pulling for Demi because I'm a horror lover. I fucked heavy with The Substance and her performance in The Substance. And also, I just don't think she's going to, I don't think she will be this close again to winning the Oscar. And so I was totally on board. I was totally on board with her story, with, the story of Demi Moore throughout this Oscar season. And it doesn't mean that I don't think Mikey Madison is an incredible actress. I do. And I think she is, she is the heart and soul of Anora. She's the titular character of the Best Picture winning film, Anora. But I think, like, if I'm looking at how did Mikey win over Demi? So one thing is, I think the substance was just too weird. I think it was too wacky. I think not enough people fucked with the substance. And, when I'm talking about people, I mean specifically Academy voters. I also think that Fernanda Torres being in the category probably pulled votes from Demi. I don't think it would have pulled votes from Mikey. I think, young people in the Academy were probably more likely to vote for a film like Anora. And I think older voters, ones who maybe felt pulled towards the veteran actresses, I think it was split between Fernanda and I'm Still Here and Demi and The Substance. So this is why at the beginning of the stream I was like, I need to see the breakdown. Okay, I want to know how close this was. Was this like 2 vote difference? Or did Mikey just completely run away with the trophy? Was this like 2 voters who just only saw the film Anora and so they voted for Mikey? Or like, I'm just so curious. I would love to see what the breakdown was. What's your take on the 180 and how so many people are hating on Anora? Oh, it happens every year. Every year. Everything Ever All at Once got so much hate after the Oscars. So I think there was the factor of you had the ingenue, the young actress in the more commercially appealing film, in the film that was just more entertaining to people, that I think more people watched, versus the veteran actress in a more controversial film, and one that you either love it or you hate it. And the other thing is, like, Anora was from the beginning a film that always had momentum, even when that momentum seemed to have slowed down. So this was the film that won the Palme d'Or at Cannes Film Festival in the summer, and it really just enjoyed it enjoyed a lot of constant conversation about this film. Like, there really was never a point that people, at least in the circles I'm in, both online and offline, were not talking about Anora.
We talk about Best Picture. I'm not necessarily sure that Emilia Perez was ever going to win the Best Picture Oscar, but I think that its collapse certainly...
And the other thing, too, is, like, I think you have to look at Emma Stone winning in Poor Things, where I do think that there are shifts within the Academy where they are going for less traditional type of films. I think the diversifying of the Academy has resulted in there being a diversification in the types of films that the Academy overall does like. You look at Everything Ever All at Once winning huge, where they do go for the outrageous, they do go for the wild and the wacky, but I think ultimately it does come down to, like, did you overall like the movie? Not just did you like the performance but you hated everything else, or did you like do you like the actress? I think it's also I think that's what it was. I think just more people watched and liked Anora.
Helped to contribute to Anora's win, but let's take a second here and take Emilia Perez out of the picture and tip our caps to Neon. Neon is the little distributor that could, and this is their second win for Best Picture. They have less than 100 employees, and yet they have 2 Best Picture wins with Anora and Perez.
We've talked about Sean Baker a bunch, so I don't think I'm going to like revisit the whole thing.
They've had 4 Best Picture nominees. They've won half the time. Netflix is still in search of its first Best Picture winner. They're 0 for 10, and that's a company with well over 10,000 employees. When we look at the biggest wins by distributor, Neon leads the way with 5, all 5 because of Anora. A24 comes in second place, another indie distributor with 3 wins. Those are all from The Brutalist. Netflix ties A24 with 3 wins. Universal had 2 wins, and Warner Brothers had 2 wins. So this really was a win for the indie distributors, having the most and tied for the second most wins of any of the big Hollywood studios. And as I mentioned, the 3 wins for A24 were for The Brutalist, which picked up 3 Oscars for Best Cinematography, Best Original Score, and as expected, Best Actor for Adrian Brody. Brody's 22-year gap between Best Actor wins is the second longest in history, behind Anthony Hopkins and the 29 years.
Okay, before he gets into Brody, I just want to give some further thoughts on Anora. So, Farley, oh my God, why does he always pick the? Okay, one second. Why are you like this, my love? He really has such amazing timing, because I can't tell you all the time. I can't tell you how many times I will go, okay, so here's what I have to say. I'll like be about to launch into it, and then I hear ding, 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 ding. It's always right when I'm like, so here are my thoughts on it. Ding, 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 ding. His timing, man. He knows. Oh, he does know. He absolutely knows. He sits by the bell and he waits until he hears me about to launch into, whatever my thought is, and then derails me. So what I would say with Best Picture is, aside from Oppenheimer, if you look at the 2000s, and I'm gonna throw 2019 in there as well, the Best Picture winners, we have Parasite, Nomadland, Coda. I don't remember what the budget for Coda was. Let me look that up. Coda budget. Coda was 10 million. Okay, that's a little bit higher. And then Everything Ever All at Once, and now Anora. I do think we're seeing this trend of, I know, fucking Coda, I know. I do think we are seeing this trend of smaller budget films, films on the, in the indie world, made by auteur filmmakers, often, filmmakers that are in the Oscars conversation for the first time. And I will say, it is always great to see smaller films winning the biggest prize, but it is frustrating knowing the obstacles to get these films made. Like, you listen to the Everything Ever All at Once, the Daniels directors talk about how, like, nobody wanted to make that movie and how difficult it was to get it made. Same with a film like Anora. I mean, it's very frustrating when these small indie films end up going all the way to the top and winning something like Best Picture, and then we don't see the industry turn around and be like, this is, we need to do more of this. We need to really champion independent cinema. No. And so I'm always going to be a fan and a champion of independent cinema. And everything else about Sean Baker's side, I do appreciate that he was the one who had the theme of independent cinema And I want to shout out Brady Corbet as well. He just didn't win, he didn't win awards, so he wasn't up on stage. But it is, what do you think a Sean Baker blank check film looks like? I mean, I would like to think that a Sean Baker blank check film still looks something like Anora. That he's not a guy who's like, okay, I got a blank check, so I'm going to do a $40 million production. I hope that he is somebody who understands that it's not about having more money. That really it's just about like not having the obstacles that exist in the industry that prevent films that are under $10 million from succeeding. And it's like Cord Jefferson's speech. Yeah, Cord Jefferson, who won oh my God, why am I blanking on American Fiction? He won the best screenplay for American Fiction, and in his speech he called out Hollywood and their and their preference, their prioritizing of these $200 million budgeted films. And he's like, you can make so many films for that $200 budget. He's like, take a chance. And even though it's not a chance, because like that's crazy to say that a $200 million budgeted film is not risking, not taking a risk, not taking a chance, and $10-20 million films are. But he's like, make more movies, give more opportunities to up and coming filmmakers, to independent directors. But we will get to Zoe's speech, or we'll get to Zoe's after when they go to the back and they talk to the press. We'll talk about that.
Between his wins for Silence of the Lambs and The Father. And Adrian Brody also...
Or maybe he does do a $40 million production, but he just compensates cast and crew really well. Yeah. I do think he's a guy, though, who he doesn't need a blank check to make a great film. And I don't think he's someone who wants all the money in the world to make his films.
Joins Anthony Hopkins, Jack Nicholson, Denzel Washington, Daniel Day-Lewis, Tom Hanks, Sean Penn, and Dustin Hoffman as the only living actors with 2 Best Actor trophies. Adrian Brody also set a record for most interminable Oscar acceptance speech, a speech that lasted, and I counted, 5 minutes and 37 seconds from the first word he spoke to the last word he spoke, and that doesn't even count the time it took for him to kiss Guy Pearce and throw his chewing gum at his wife. Most of this is on Adrian Brody because he seems to have forgotten that even though the moment of winning Best Actor is about him, the show itself is not about him.
Yeah, the show ain't about you, buddy. Do these small, indie, successful movies ever do super well at the box office? I mean, Everything Ever All at Once grossed $111 million. It was the highest grossing movie ever distributed by A24. So they can, oftentimes they don't, but it's not any fault of their own. It's changes in the types of films that are prioritized at movie theaters. It's how long they remain, how long their theatrical distribution is. A lot of times these films are getting just shafted distribution wise. Marketing budget being shit.
Not an invitation for him to go up and yell at the orchestra to stop playing after 3 minutes and 45 seconds of him saying really not much at all. He was just kind of rambling and then talking for another 2 full minutes.
Please, I'm wrapping up. I will wrap up. Please turn the music off. I've done this before. Thank you.
Honestly, I hope that everybody that was going after Timothée Chalamet for the speech that he made at the Screen Actors Guild Awards last week has that same energy for Adrian Brody, because in my opinion, his Oscar speech was way worse. And I felt like Sebastian Stan's Donald Trump through the whole thing, just glaring at Adrian Brody the entire time he was talking. And by the way, having Stan Trump over his shoulder really made it even harder to concentrate on what Adrian Brody was saying.
And who else?
And part of what makes it even worse is that there were other winners that barely got a chance to speak.
Well, okay, I have some thoughts on Adrian Brody. So I think he's a great actor. And, he's a very serious person. Like Adrian Brody on an Oscars campaign trail is going to be serious. He's not going to have the goofiness of Timothée Chalamet. He's not going to have the he's not going to have the kind of I've been doing this a long time making jokes about it that like a Leo would do. He is very serious, and he, doesn't really joke unless he's at SNL hosting and decides to do what he did to introduce Sean Kingston. I guess those are the only type of jokes that he's got. But anyway, he insists upon himself. Yes, he's a serious person and, does serious work. And I think he is great. I do. As an actor, I do think he's incredibly talented. And I think he's got a real look that's like very 1970s. So he's not a traditional, especially not in today's standards, movie star, like with his looks and whatnot. And I am all for people in leading woman positions who do not look like traditional movie stars. However, what's interesting about him and in his speech, he kind of was making the point that I am here and I won an Oscar 22 years ago. And now I'm back. And it's like, that's, that can happen as an actor where you ebb and flow, where like you are, once upon a time so high up on the mountain and then you're nowhere to be found until you maybe can climb back up that mountain like I did with The Brutalist. But it's like, okay, he continued to have a career. He just was doing a bunch of like Wes Anderson films, he was doing kind of like auteur type of stuff, but nothing that was nothing that brought him another trophy. But I'm also like, okay, brother, you have 2 Best Actor trophies. That's more than Gene Hackman. Like, Gene Hackman only had 1 Best Actor trophy and then 1 Best Supporting Actor trophy. And that's more than like most of the greatest actors of any generation ever ended up winning. So like, it was kind of strange in that, okay, Brody definitely with his performance in The Brutalist was reminding people like, yes, I am an amazing actor, and I am, I am prolific and blah, 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 blah. But I just don't really understand this like Adrian Brody comeback thing or like underdog thing, because he has now 2 Best Actor Oscars. And I think what's going to happen with someone like Timmy is I think Timmy might have a bit of a Leo DiCaprio path, where I think Timmy's going to have to like over and over again be in these great films and give great performances. And it's not going to be until he does something like, hides in the carcass of a bear that he finally gets his long overdue Oscar. And I may be wrong, but I don't know. I have a feeling that Timmy, who's already been compared to his generation's Leo, may follow in the same path and not get his Oscar for like another 15 years and many nominated performances in between.
Was the case with
He should have won for Call Me by Your Name. Yeah, when did Call Me by Your Name? That was 2017. Okay, so 2018 Best Actor nominees. 2018, we had Daniel Day in Phantom Thread, Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out, Gary Oldman in Darkest Hour, Denzel in Roman J. Israel, and then Timothy in Call Me by Your Name. Yeah, I mean, that's the year that Gary Oldman won. That's tough, right? That's fucking tough. Don't let Club Chalamet hear you. Yeah, Club Chalamet is putting out a hit on me if she hasn't already. That's a pretty tough lineup there. No, he was never gonna win, and also, you know, I mean, Gary Oldman he is very good in The Darkest Hour, even if I don't really care for that film. Loved Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out. Daniel Day gives a great performance in Phantom Thread, even if that's not like my all-time Daniel Day-Lewis. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one. Tough category. What's your Daniel Day? Oh, There Will Be Blood.
Both of the Oscar wins for Dune Part 2. The best sound winners, and I checked this, were played off after about 50 seconds, leaving one of the winners unable to even say anything.
As Katie suggests, let's just hope Timmy doesn't take after Leo and his dating requirements. Y'all, I gotta say, okay? I gotta say, in Club Chalamet, if you're in here, you might want to mute the stream. Timmy and Kylie, they're cute, okay? They're cute. They're a hot couple. I'm going to say it. I saw a lot of pictures of them, like, holding hands and smooching each other. They're very into each other, at least based on like the photos that we are privy to. All the like shots of them at the ceremony and then at the after party, they are all over each other. Gazers are home. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Razel, thank you for the 4 months. So I like, they make sense to me. Honestly, they do make sense to me. And I think that they're a hot cup. They're a hot cup. I mean, look at, you know, this was after he lost. A little smooch. Smoochy smooch. You know, when they were leaving the Oscars, I think it was, and he had his arms. He was behind her and he had his hands on her waist. I was like, yeah, they're cute. You know? Cute couple. I'm going to say it. All right, Club Chalamet, you can unmute now. So as I was saying, fuck Kylie Jenner. Slurpee.
And the same thing happened for the next category, which was Best Visual Effects, where one of the winners also didn't get a chance to speak after the music started playing 50 seconds into their speech.
My son Luca, my mother Elke, my father-in-law Carl, who brought me into this business.
And honestly, that part is on the Oscars for allowing that to happen, because if you want to give Adrian Brody 6 minutes to ramble, then you should have allotted time to give the other winners a little bit of a leeway so that they could also enjoy their moment in the spotlight. There was certainly time to be found in the show, which we'll talk about elsewhere. But I do want to say that I was happy to see that both of the teams that won for Dune Part 2 gave Denis Villeneuve his flowers during their acceptance speech. I think that he was shamefully snubbed for Best Director for both Dune movies. So it was nice to see that he got some recognition at the Oscars. And can I also say, I know that people give Timothy...
Y'all, you know what? Okay, so I did a bad, and I read the plot for Messiah. I did a bad. And I do not think that this is going to be a Return of the King situation. So if you remember, Two Towers, which was the second Lord of the Rings film, that film only won like 2 Oscars, I think, very similar to Dune 2. And it suffered from the same, okay, this is the sequel in a trilogy. We loved the first one, you know, gave it some love. This one, we've nominated it. We'll throw a couple of technical awards its way, but we'll wait until we'll wait until the third film. And the third film was like, it's Return of the King, okay? And that film won 11 Oscars, including Best Picture. It just totally swept that year. And I just feel like I feel like Dune is not going to follow in the Lord of the Rings footsteps. And I think the Academy, I think people are going to just be really I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Messiah, but going off of what I know happens in Messiah, I don't think it's going to be good. I would agree, but they literally made the ending of the book better in the film, so I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll see. We won't know till we know. The thing is, I think Messiah fits way more for this new Academy voting because it gets weird. Maybe. Yeah, maybe with the Academy being more diversified, with kind of going for films that don't have uplifting endings. I mean, Anora is like not a film that has the Cinderella ending. I think the Academy has shown that it is more open, and same with Parasite, right? That it is more open to kind of these ambiguous endings. Films where it's like, okay, there is like, there are like serious things that have been introduced in the film and like questions that have been raised and food for thought type of thing, but not answered, but not like it concludes in a way that's very, that's positive, that like, okay, here's the questions that are asked and here's the answers that are provided. Dune is already so anti-screen in its structure, but Messiah is so much worse in that aspect. I'm saying this as a Dune mega fan. Guarantee Denis' ending will be very different from the book. Yeah. I hope that he at least gets his nomination. I hope he at least gets his nomination for Messiah.
Chalamet a hard time. It was nice to
Reckless,
see him shaking
13
hands
months,
and hugging
thank you for the
each
20.
person from Dune that won as they walked up to the stage. It really made it feel like the movie was a team effort. Overall, when we look at the total Oscar wins last night, Anora leads the pack with 5, followed by The Brutalist with 3, and then Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, and Wicked were the only other films to win multiple Oscars. They won 2.
It's kind of crazy that Emilia won more Oscars than Conclave. Conclave got 1
apiece. And when we look at the winning percentage among
and
movies
that Dune Part 2 won the same amount of Oscars as fucking Emilia Perez.
Had multiple nominations. Anora won 5 out of 6. That's an 833 winning percentage. Flow only got 1 Academy Award, but was nominated just twice, so it had a 500 winning percentage. It went 1 for 2. A Real Pain also went 1 for 2 for a 500 winning percentage. Dune Part 2 had a 400 winning percentage with 2 out of 5 Oscars won. I'm Still Here went 1 for 3. That comes out to a 333 winning percentage. Followed by The Brutalist, which went 3 for 10. That's a 300 winning percentage. Wicked went 2 out of 10 for a 200 winning percentage. Then we have The Substance, which went 1 for 5. Emilia Perez went 2.
Yeah, see, these are the kind of stats that I pay attention to, okay? I'm paying attention to no baseball, no football stats. These are my stats. Like if I'm in a conversation with somebody and we're talking stats, like I'm going to talk about stats this way.
2 for 13. That's a winning percentage of 154. Slightly better than Conclave, which won 1 out of 8 Oscars.
I'll be like, Emilia Perez. Wait, what state's team is that?
That's
like,
a 125 winning percentage. And then there were 6
not any of the
films that
states
went
here.
completely winless on multiple nominations. A
Nor
Complete Unknown
Mexico.
went 0 for 8. Nosferatu went 0 for 4. Sing Sing went 0 for 3. The Wild Robot also went 0 for 3. The Apprentice went 0 for 2. And Nickel Boys went 0 for 2. As far as my predictions on who was going to win, I went 16 of 23 this year, which is exactly how I did last year. I was 1 behind the experts at Gold Derby. I was actually 3 ahead of Variety's predictions, 2 ahead of Deadlines, and 1 ahead of THR. That is not, by the way, an effort to boost myself. It is a reminder, and I think I said this on the show last year, that when it comes to predicting awards, when all else fails, just go with your own gut, because nobody can really actually predict who these people are going to vote for. There's just too many variables. Before we
whoever said Dune Messiah is not going to happen, unless Denis decided not to do it, which he hasn't said that yet. Dune Part 2 grossed over $700 million. So it would certainly not be the studio.
We go on to talk more about the show itself. I also wanted to point out that winners from last night's show, like Anora and Emilia Perez and The Substance,
they would find somebody else if Denise like, nope, I'm done,
have all been on the awards radar since May because they debuted at the Cannes Film Festival. And when I did the coverage of the award winners at Cannes, I said, hey, listen, put these movies on your awards radar. And it turned out that they were either big winners or competitive for big wins throughout the entire ceremony. So just a reminder that if you really want to be plugged into the awards and know what movies you should be looking out for, that really starts in a few months when the winners from Cannes are announced. I'll be covering that here on the channel because it's become a year-round thing, and more the Cannes Film Festival winners and the movies that do well are becoming more prominent at the Academy Awards. So let's talk about the show itself and what I thought of the production. After an opening montage of a video tribute to Los Angeles, which is actually very close to other LA tributes that I've seen on other award shows, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo opened the Oscars, and I think that it was a good idea.
What was your final tally this year in ballparking? You were like 2023. So I technically didn't do a prediction for any of the shorts. I know this YouTuber. It's Dan Murrell. Yes, it is. We love Dan Murrell here. I didn't predict any of the shorts because I did not watch. Like I couldn't watch any of the shorts. So that's 3 that I didn't predict. So I think I did then 20, and I got 3. I was 17 out of 20.
Though they were kept separate for most of the time, performing different songs and then ending with a shortened version of Defying Gravity. This was close to what I thought they should do to really kind of capitalize on the Wicked hype, but I don't think
watched all the shorts and I got them all wrong. They're hard to predict. Usually people who are in the Oscar prediction biz get the shorts wrong. It's very hard to pin down. It's very hard to pin down what shorts are going to end up winning. Again, it's a category that a lot of Oscar voters do not watch these films. And so it might be a just, oh, I voted for this one because I had heard of that one. Because I saw like one advertisement for this film.
It was the home run that it could have been. I did like the opening bit where Demi Moore turned into Conan, who then went digging around her body for his lost shoe. And I thought that Conan's opening monologue was pretty good. He had a really good joke directed at Netflix.
Netflix leads all studios with an impressive 18, count them 18, price increases.
He also had a great joke referencing the Emilia Perez controversy.
Anora uses the F word 479 times. That's 3 more than the record set by Carla Sofia Gascon's publicist.
And I really liked his bit about cutting to a disappointed John Lithgow if anybody's awards acceptance speech ran too.
Yeah, but it was like Chekhov's gun. I thought they were actually going to have a moment in the show where they do cut to John Lithgow, right? Like it's introduced as this really funny bit. And I just felt like we just need at least one moment. And I felt like they could have done it on the Emilia Perez songwriter's speech.
Too long.
Like,
I just wish that policy had been
been
enforced,
Adrian
Adrian Brody. That Lithgow face, though, is going to be a meme.
They never would have done it.
I also like the bit where he chides Adam Sandler for not wearing appropriate attire at the Academy Awards. Conan also had an opening number like he did when he hosted the Emmys, and while I don't think that the number itself was as good as the one he did back then, it did include a Dune sandworm playing chopsticks on the piano, which is exactly the kind of weird that I wanted from Conan. I also like this parody commercial of a big room where everybody can go and stream movies together.
We took 800 smartphones, glued them all together, and made one giant smartphone.
And honestly, I wish there had been more of that stuff, more pre-tape stuff, more bits. But Conan kind of fell into the mold of your typical Oscars host, which is somebody that comes out and has a monologue and then just kind of pops in from time to time to deliver a random joke. I did like both his spotlight.
My thoughts on Conan, I love Conan O'Brien. I think he did a great job. I thought he did a good mix of like, funny bits, his usual kind of, menacing style. He's pretty apolitical, but I think that was to be expected. I thought the few moments where he got some political zingers in were well written. I thought it was a mostly well written show. And I think he not only did what he needed to do, he was funny. He was entertaining. Like, he's Conan O'Brien, and I'll never forgive fucking Jay Leno and ABC or NBC for depriving a generation from Conan O'Brien.
On the Los Angeles first responders and using them to tell jokes that he said he didn't have the courage to tell. I thought that it was a great way to honor them, but also make that part of the show part of the fun.
Our hearts go out to all of them.
Ultimately, what I appreciate about Conan that we don't get from someone like Jimmy Kimmel is, like, Conan O'Brien loves movies and he loves celebrating movies. And I think ultimately the Oscars is about that. Like, it should be about that. And I think, like, there's just been such a through line of kind of like this irony poisoned, very sardonic, satirical attitude where it's like, can't we be nostalgic and can't we be can't we be like authentic and like whimsical and genuine in appreciating film.
Those who have lost their homes. And I'm talking about the producers of Joker 2.
However, there were also some choices as far as what to put in the show that were interesting because you didn't have the original song nominees. I said before that I think if you're not going to do those performances, this is probably the year to do it.
This is the guy who wrote the Kendrick Lamar joke. And bet our executive producer $50 that it would kill. Just made $50. Always bet on yourself.
But I don't think that they really replaced it with anything compelling, or God forbid, made the show shorter. First, we got Halle Berry, who set up a video tribute to James Bond, which set up a dance number featuring Margaret.
Do I think Conan will be back next year? It maybe, if he wants to do it again. I think the Oscars have been struggling, right? Like, I think it's been a struggle for the Oscars to find a host. And the reason that they always have Jimmy Kimmel is because Jimmy Kimmel agrees to do it, and because he's fine enough that he's not going to, like, it's not going to be a train wreck. It's not going to be something where the Oscars are like, holy fuck. But I don't think Kimmel wants to do it anymore. I think Kimmel's kind of phasing out of doing most things.
Quali and the 007 Dancers, which set up a Bond theme song medley performed by Doja Cat, Lisa, and Ray. And because I am very young,
tried offering?
and
maybe Jimmy Kimmel's literally the first person to ask. Hi, can I have a try? Hi, I would do it. Hello. The thing is like, a lot of people actually don't want to host award shows. It's more of a struggle than you would think it is because it's a pretty thankless task. If you are good, then it'll be like, okay, good job. But if you're not good, you will be eviscerated and potentially it can hurt your career. So usually the money is not enough. Right? Like, it's a lot of money, but it's not like, oh my God, okay, $10 million. Yes. And on top of that, you're like risking more than the reward is. It's a tough job. Yeah, it's a tough job. If you piss people off by telling good jokes, you don't get invited back. Yeah. It's not It is not a job that the rewards outweigh the risks.
In touch with pop culture, I absolutely did know who all of those people were, and I'm very familiar with their work. The first thing that was weird about it is that the Oscars...
It's a weird middle ground where the only people they want to do it are well-known and the only people who want to do it are unknown. Yeah, mostly.
Did a tribute to Bond back in 2013 to celebrate 50 years of the franchise, so I don't know why they chose...
Okay, you guys. Did Lisa lip sync? Let's see. Yes. Like she did.
To do it again, I guess to commemorate the fact that Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson won the Governor's Award this year. Maybe Jeff Bezos slid him $5 million under the table to keep plugging the franchise. I don't know. It just seemed like odd timing. But also, why this? I mean, you took 8.5 minutes of a show to celebrate a franchise that's currently in creative turnaround with a dance number straight out of the Oscars in the 1970s and 3 songs that were not performed by their original artists. I mean, sure, 2 of the artists, Paul McCartney...
Yeah, like if they brought out Adele, and I say this as someone who thinks Ray is super talented, if they brought out Adele to do Skyfall, I'm like, all right, fuck yeah.
Shirley Bassey, in their 80s, maybe they don't want to come back and do a performance on the Oscars, but you have Skyfall not sung by Adele, who is very much still a working, performing artist.
Worry as much.
It just seemed like an odd choice. If she didn't want to do it, there's plenty of other James Bond songs that you could pick, and all of it is more strange, given the fact that you had winners, multiple winners, who didn't have a whole lot of time to speak, and you...
Yes, I agree, all right? So, I love a performance, all right? But if you're going to do something that really is not connected to the Oscars and is kind of just... It's kind of like, why are we doing this? And it takes up as much time as it does. I think you cut it. And I think you make it more about the winners, right? You make it more about the show.
Also had a whole song and dance literally from the host at the beginning of the show talking about not wasting time. The show also spent over 5 minutes on a tribute to Quincy Jones, who is absolutely a music legend, but also never won a competitive Oscar. I mean, I like Queen Latifah. It was a very enthusiastic rendition of Ease on Down the Road, but it just felt a little odd. The Grammys did a...
Well, and I think people also were sensitive about the fact that Michelle Trachtenberg was just left out of the in memoriam, right? Where it's not necessarily, okay, why is there a whole tribute to Quincy Jones, blah, blah, blah. But it was more of that Michelle was just totally ignored. And, I mean, there were other people who were ignored, like Trust, that I would put Tony Todd in there. Trust. Shannon Doherty also wasn't a part of the in memoriam. I think people were especially sensitive because Michelle had just died and because her death being so young and seemingly she had been sick, maybe from the liver transplant that she had, and it just happened. It's also the fact that it just happened and that Gene Hackman's happened after, and of course they did a whole thing for Gene, as they should have. Don't they add him to the next one? No. Every year there are people who are left out of the in memoriam that is upsetting, and it's usually because they just were not actors that had a crossover with Academy nominated films. They were just not, the type of actors that were part of like the part of Hollywood that is films that get nominated and win the Oscars. So usually TV actors, right? So like Shannon, who was really known for shows like Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed, as well as Michelle Trachtenberg, who a lot of people knew from Gossip Girl, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah, I mean, let's not forget Shannon Doherty and Heathers. But yeah, I just a reminder of like exactly TV and film, TV and the movies, very separate. Okay. It's not been until the, golden age of television, the prestige TV boom, when film actors started moving into TV. And now you have like it's just totally intermixed. That TV and film are now more cohesive because you have actors who do movies and also TV. But back in the day, for a long time, you had TV acting and then you had film acting, right? The silver screen actors. And when you were a silver screen actor, you did not do TV. TV was considered like the lesser path for an actor. And this was not prestigious in the way that film was.
Lengthy tribute to Quincy Jones, as well they should have, but it seemed odd for the Oscars to single Jones out, but also not to do extended in memoriam segments for others. I mean, there was a little bit for Gene Hackman. Morgan Freeman came out and said something, but there's next to nothing really for David Lynch other than him being in the in memoriam video itself.
And Isabella Rossellini, who wore a blue velvet dress to honor David Lynch. And she was, of course, in his film Blue Velvet.
And it just seems weird to kind of hand select one or two people and not give what I think is equal time to others who left a cinematic legacy, I think, as large as Quincy Jones, just in a different field. At least.
Wait, Bernard Hill wasn't in the in memoriam? What the fuck? That's actually, okay, that's crazy too. What? Yo. They left out Bernard Hill. Okay, I need to have a word. You know what? I'm going to be in charge of the in memoriam from now on. All right? I'm in charge. Don't you guys worry. Don't y'all worry. Shawarma, thank you for the 19 months. Kasia Como, thank you for the 5 months. You know what? It's like, okay. Cut out the Bond thing and spend more time on the in memoriam, right? Here's a show where we are honoring movies, where we are honoring the industry. And it's like we do this in memoriam section every year to honor the greats who have come and gone, who left a legacy behind, who had an impact on this industry. So spend more time on it.
The in memoriam section itself was better than it has been, with a constant focus on showing and showcasing the work of those who passed on, although poor Shelley Duvall literally had the curtain pulled over her during her video clip. Judging from internet reaction that I've seen, it seems the angriest omission award is for Michelle Trachtenberg or maybe Tony Todd. I don't envy the people that put that thing together, because no matter how much time you spend on it, and because you have to include people from every branch, that you're going to leave out somebody, probably multiple people, probably actors,
I'm gonna be in charge,
that folks are going to get angry about, and I guess you just have to live with it, because it's going to happen. The Oscars also brought the 5 people talk about the nominees structure, although this time it was in a couple of the technical categories. It was for Best Costume Design and Best Cinematography. I'm not a big fan of this whole thing, but if you're going to do it, I think that this made a little bit of sense, because at least you're using actors who'd worked with each one of the nominated artists and could provide.
I actually like this. This is one of my faves from the show. I love how much care they gave to categories like costume design. It's just like, so the show was just uneven in that, okay, so we had one category, some categories where they did this, and I'm like, great. And then others where it's like, why the fuck did you do that? Like, supporting actor and actress should have done clips, okay? Why aren't we doing clips? And then it's like, we did the clips for actor and actress, and then it needs more of an even structure.
Provide insight to the work that they do. Robert Downey Jr. and Davine Joy Randolph also offered kind words to each of the supporting nominees, which was okay, but it meant that we saw none of their actual work on the telecast. And that's just another part of the Oscars' inexplicable war on showing the actual clips of the movies nominated for their awards. Luckily, we did get clips for the lead actor and lead actress performances, and you cannot.
Yes, I think Elle Fanning. Wait, she was either wearing Chanel or Dior. It might actually be Dior, because I think she might be an
convince
ambassador.
me otherwise, that this was not the original plan until somebody realized
Lily
it was going
Rose
to be
Depp
very
was wearing
odd
Chanel.
for Emma Stone to say nice things about Carla Sofia Gascon. The other presenters during the show I think were pretty standard. I did love the banter between Scarlett Johansson and National Treasure
Yes,
June Squibb.
they were fabulous.
And I'm actually being played by Bill Skarsgård right now.
And Ben Stiller proved once again that he is more than willing to go the extra mile to make a presenter bit that's actually funny.
Here are the nominees for production design.
I'd say that the presenter banner was above average, but really the thing that caught my attention the most all night was when they announced that there was going to be a Jaws exhibition at the Academy Museum. This is my actual reaction when I was watching the show and they announced it. It was maybe the most transfixed that I was all night. And I wanted to use a little clip of that reaction because I recorded
I like that he recorded himself reacting.
myself watching the show. I'm not a big reactor, but I wanted to, in case something crazy happened, as tends to happen at the
That's
Academy Awards
cute.
nowadays, I wanted a document of me watching the show. And the way that I did it is probably kind of backwards, was to do an unlisted stream back to my channel so that I would have like an archive. Well, what happened was that the stream picked up the ambient audio of my TV, which then registered on YouTube's copyright filters as third-party content, and I actually got a community guidelines warning for posting third-party content, which means that if something else happens within the next 90 days, I get a strike on my channel and I'm banned for a week. Now I'm working on getting that fixed, but just in case I disappear for a week, you'll know that I have run afoul yet again of YouTube's faulty copyright system, or I've been kidnapped. So I talked about the highlights, I talked about the show. Let's talk about some of the speeches and winners that I haven't referenced yet. First of all, Kieran Culkin won Best Supporting Actor as expected and immediately swore on live television as expected. Honestly, though, I like the fact that he is very open about himself and his life and the fact that things like his upbringing weren't that great.
I should thank my mom and Steve for trying to raise me. You're really good people. You gave it your best shot. I love you, Mom.
And I also really like the story that he told about his wife unwittingly making a deal with him to have a fourth child.
She said...
It was very Kieran. It was very Kieran. The part about like the kids and his wife, it was kind of like weird, but also endearing. And it is, it just, all of it felt very Kieran. It felt very Kieran. I do hope that his wife was like okay with it. I don't know their relationship. She married Kieran Culkin, so you got to know he's going to be the way that he is. Yeah, it felt pretty on
I will
brand.
give you 4 when you win an Oscar.
Flo pulled off what I think could be...
The only reason why I'm like, I hope she was okay with it was because she was not happy after his Emmy speech when he brought up the kid thing. And that's why he's like, okay, I haven't mentioned this since then. And then he was like, okay, but here's the story.
Called an upset, maybe the upset of the night, by winning
He
Best
said, "All right,
Animated
sexo
Film.
time."
This is the second consecutive year that a smaller international feature has
Yes,
upset
this
a
was one of my
big Hollywood
favorite
studio
wins
film
of
that in
the
any other
night.
year would have won the
Yes.
Academy Award. Last year it was The Boy and the Heron. This year it was Flo. This is also only the third time that an international film has won Best Animated Feature, and the first time that that movie wasn't a Studio Ghibli film. This was a big night for Latvia, so congratulations to Latvia on a big Academy Award win.
Also, I think that this is a good sign of creative change. I think that animation is moving in a direction that's very exciting. And we're moving away from American animated films and American animated films that are like massive budget, heavy hitter type films where you've got just the biggest studios behind them. Wild Robot and Inside Out 2, which was the highest grossing film of 2024. And a little film that was under $4 million, that had no dialogue, that was made using film editing software. Like, it was edited with software that like anybody can download and yeah, Blender. I mean it's remarkable. It's really remarkable. And that film won. And I think that this is a category that often voters don't watch these movies because they're kids movies, right? It's animated movies. These are movies for kids. So it might be like, okay, they saw this one movie with their kids. That's the one that they vote for. But I think Flo winning the Globe more so than any other category or any other category. So like performance, any above the line or below the line, winning at the Globes. I think the Globes win for Flo was the most important. I think had they not won the Globe, they would not have won the Oscar.
The short categories continue to just baffle me. Not only did none of the ones that I picked to win actually win, none of the ones that I thought might win instead won either. The Only Girl in the Orchestra won for documentary short. I thought it was a good short, but it wasn't one of my favorites of the 5. I'm Not a Robot won for best live action short, which I thought had a good premise, but it didn't really pay off for me. And In the Shadow of the Cypress won for best animated short. And while I thought the animation was beautiful in that one, as far as overall impact, it wasn't really in my top 2 or 3. I am happy that the filmmakers in that category were able to make it from Iran to be there to accept their award. Apparently they landed just hours before the ceremony. I did think it was kind of weird that the guy just kind of snatched the phone away from his other filmmaker and then started their speech over because she wasn't saying it right. It just kind of felt jerky to me.
Miracle, you have
no.
Oh my God.
Let me
Yeah.
read it myself.
Paul Tazewell became the first black man to win an Oscar for Best Costume Design for Wicked, so kudos to him. And Wicked also took the award for Best Production Design. In his speech for Best Original Screenplay, Sean Baker thanked the sex worker community, which, let's be honest, plenty of other Oscar winners have probably also wanted to thank the sex worker community, but for very different reasons. Peter Strawn, as expected, won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay for Conclave, and The Substance won for Best Makeup and Hairstyling. And can I just
Dan's doing jokes.
point out how happy I am that makeup, as disgusting as what you saw in The Substance, and I mean that as a compliment, was actually able to take home the Oscar. I mean, I think The Substance might be the grossest movie to ever take that award. At the very least, I think The Fly is getting a run for its money. And while I have no doubt that the controversy around Emilia Perez cost it at least 1 or 2 awards last night, it did not cost Zoe Saldaña her win. And listen, I'm happy for her. I think that she was good in the movie. I think she's had an underrated career. Honestly, her speeches have been a little bit too much for me this award season. But in light of Adrian Brody's speech, my criteria for what constitutes a little much when it comes to award speeches has definitely been permanently adjusted towards his end of the dial.
Okay. Yeah. Let's pause here for a second. So here's my thing with Zoe. Here's my thing. The speeches that she's been giving are all very emotional, where she's crying and shaking and like can't breathe and blah, blah, blah. And after a whole season of that, you're kind of like, all right, enough. Now, especially given the film that she won for and that she won all season long for. And it feels, I don't know, the emotion feels a little disingenuous when none of that emotion was directed at feeling emotional because you're talking about how we need to stand up for the trans community, or like we need to stand up, we need to talk about the families that have lost so many loved ones to violence, or, it's like, it just was a speech filled with emotion and being like, I'm the first Dominican Republican woman, where it was a very like, this is about me and it has nothing to do really with the film, or I don't know, just like anything. And that movie is ass. that movie is ass. So it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to have to do some heavy lifting to like make a speech that is, that is praising this film that is such ass. But also it's like, that is, it would have been nice. It would have been nice to get something that related to what you claim are very important themes in this film, very important, issues that comprise this fuck ass movie. So here's her backstage. There's a couple of things that people have been talking about this, and then Jacques Audiard.
Hello, Zoe. I'm Cristina Ibanez. I'm from Webedia, representing Sensa Cine, which is a Mexican outlet. I gotta say that it has been, a lot of things has been said about the movie, about trans people, about empowering women, but less has been said about Mexico, which is the heart of it. So what would you say about this, the heart of this movie, but also about the topic who is really hurtful for us Mexicans?
First of all, I'm very, very sorry that you and so many Mexicans felt offended. That was never our intention. We spoke and we came from a place of love, and I will stand by that. I don't share your opinion. For me, the heart of this movie was not Mexico. We weren't making a film about a country. We were making a film about 4 women.
Yes.
No. And here's why no. Okay. Here's why no. So much of this film is set in Mexico. But it's not just set in Mexico. It utilizes Mexican, like Mexican politics and issues happening in Mexico, like the cartel violence, okay? And how Emilia has this great change in her character because she goes from the cartel leader to wanting to help the families whose loved ones have been murdered and disappeared by the cartel. So Mexico is a huge part, and like the Mexican people as like a backdrop in this film utilizes Mexican trauma. Yes! What are you talking about? This isn't just like 4 friends hanging out in Mexico where like, okay, Mexico's the setting, but this could have been set anywhere else. And like specificities about Mexico and Mexican culture are not at all to be found in this film because it's just 4 gals who like, I don't know, it's like a character drama. Yeah, context, girl, location is context. I'm sorry, but that is a horrible response. And I'm sure it must be hard. I'm sure it must be hard when like you're celebrating your win and oh my God, it finally happened. And you go backstage and you're talking to the press and you just want people to be like, oh my God, congratulations. How are you feeling? Like blah, 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 blah. And you get asked a question that is not glazing you and is like, hey, so there are a lot of people who are upset and like you just won for this film, and what are your thoughts? And what she responded with was, I don't share this opinion because it's wrong. Like she wasn't just saying like respectfully, I feel like blah, blah, blah. It was I don't share that opinion because that opinion is wrong, because people missed that this film is really just about 4 women. What?
Many Mexicans felt offended. That
was about the topic who is really hurtful for us Mexicans.
First of all, I'm very, very sorry that you and so many Mexicans felt offended. That was never our intention. We spoke and we came from a place of love, and I will stand by that. I don't share your opinion. For me, the heart of this movie was not Mexico. We weren't making a film about a country. We were making a film about 4 women.
Yes.
And these women could have been Russian, Could have been Dominican, could have been black from Detroit, could have been from Israel,
Wait, hold on. Wait, I can't skip this part.
could have been from Israel, could have been from Gaza. And these women are still very universal women that are struggling every day at trying to survive systemic oppression and trying to find their most authentic voices. So I will stand by that. But I'm also always open to sit down with all of my Mexican brothers and sisters and with love and respect, having a great conversation on how Emilia could have been done better. I have no problem. I welcome it.
Girl, what? What are you talking about? No, this was not a film where you could just interchange these women being like Israeli or Palestinian. No, that's a whole ass other movie. What are you doing? What are you talking about? And here's the other thing too, why I really don't have sympathy for her. And it's not like she was, that she was thrown off, because this question has been raised throughout the whole fucking award season. They have prepared to answer questions like this. This is not the first time that a reporter or somebody, who's not glazing the film brings up the valid criticisms of the films. So it's not like this is the first time that Zoe would have heard something like this and been like, oh my God, like she had that answer prepared. Like she did not stumble over a single word, because that was a prepared ass answer. And that answer was bad. I'd love feedback coincidentally after a war cycle ends, but avoiding it like the plague prior. You love feedback like it's done, okay? It's done. And I hope that we never talk about Emilia Perez again, even though I know I'll bring it up. But you know what I mean, is overall, it's like, can this be a Crash? Can Emilia Perez be treated the same way that Crash did, where we all understand that this film did not deserve the love that it got, and there were hella problems with it. And so we goodbye. Let's not do it again. Man, I it's so insulting to, to mention women from Gaza in her answer here. Like, dude, no. This was not just a generic film about the oppression of women. You mentioned this before, but never mind the fact that they haven't said anything actually worthy of being called an ally. They have yet to use their platform to actually speak to trans issues, but will consistently say it's very important for XYZ. Yeah, so I get it. I hated this movie, okay? I don't think anybody... I think the only person who I've seen openly despise this more than me is Nandre. Like, Nandre, with a burning passion, loathes this film. But look, okay. I didn't like this movie, all right? I didn't like this movie. I am well aware that I did not like this movie, and I've talked about how I didn't like this movie. Look, Katya. But I do think that the points that I'm making, outside of just I didn't like this film, but how the people involved with this film, who have so clearly been focused on only winning Oscars, that's all they fucking care about, how they have continuously done a disservice to the communities that they kind of exploited for this movie, and that they have not only ignored criticism and legitimate criticism from these communities, they have not, when given a platform, highlighted the issues that these communities, which they exploited for the film, are experiencing. You know? So it's like, all right, if you're going to make a movie that is like Emilia Perez, and you are going to use how important this film is, okay? And you're going to, you're going to hype up that self-importance. Then, I don't know, at least have at least have the wherewithal to like mention any or all of the communities that you exploited in your film. So here's Jacques Audiard, okay? Emilia Perez director Jacques Audiard left the Oscars with an Academy Award in hand, but he declined the opportunity to speak about the transgender community after his win. After winning the Oscar for Best Original Song for El Mal alongside musicians Clément Ducol and Camille, which we will specifically watch that acceptance speech, the French filmmaker headed to the press room at the Dolby Theatre and was asked if he'd like to take a moment to address contemporary politics in the wake of anti-trans policies. Since I didn't win Best Film or Best Director, I didn't have the opportunity to speak. Oh, okay. So, assumedly, Jacques Audiard would have used the stage to finally talk about the trans community. Something that he hasn't done. Okay, but let's assume that had he won the Oscar, then he would have like finally gotten up there and actually highlighted the fight that the trans community is currently having to undergo because their existence is being threatened left, right, up, down, you know.
Congratulations.
All over.
I'm with Rolling Stone. We're in an era of anti-trans political attacks.
Yeah, it would have been so easy to say some bullshit like support trans people and Mexicans, hatred is bad, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we know it's not genuine. Nothing in the film is genuine. But it's like, if you're going to just like continue in the vein of Emilia Perez then, okay? Where it's all fucking bullshit and so exploitative, but at like, whatever, all right? It just get up there and say anything that's not just about how clearly you've been waiting your whole life for this moment.
And there was no mention tonight of the trans community. Would you like to say anything at this point?
Comme je n'ai pas eu le prix du meilleur film ou le prix du Best Director, j'ai pas pu prendre la parole. Et sinon, je l'aurais prise.
Since I didn't win Best Film or Best Director, I didn't have the opportunity to speak, but had I had that opportunity, I would have spoken up.
You literally have it right now! You have it right now! Oh my God. You are literally backstage talking to the press right now, and you're like, I did not have the opportunity. So that is why I cannot say trans rights matter. And unfortunately, I did not have the chance. I did not have a microphone in front of me where I could speak and say that we must all support the trans community.
Hello, congratulations. I'm with Rolling Stone.
I'm sorry. That's crazy, man. And however, his win for Best Original Song gave him an opportunity to speak with the press at the ceremony for several minutes. He also took the stage with his El Mal co-writers during the live broadcast, but ceded the podium to the couple and did not address the audience while on stage. Like, how this man, this fucking French man. Oh my God. I just, there is something that is so hilarious about having a stage and a microphone and people who are asking you, you know, specifically about this one thing, and you having a chance to speak and then talking about how you didn't have an opportunity to speak. So that's why you haven't mentioned the trans community, as you are being given an opportunity to speak about the trans community. My God. I mean, it is such a fitting end. Honestly, it is a fitting end to the entire fuck ass Emilia Perez campaign, you know, entire award season. The ending being Jacques Audiard saying, Had I had the opportunity, I would have spoken up for the trans. I would have spoken about the trans community if only I had been given the chance to do so. But unfortunately, I didn't. So, au revoir. Seems like a reaction to not winning. So he was like, nah, I'm not speaking. Yeah, no, he was pissed. He was pissed that that his stupid ass movie didn't win more awards. He was pissed. He's pissed that he's been criticized for that film. He's pissed that Carla Sofia Gascon, not that she tweeted what she tweeted, but that she got caught. He's pissed. Because, you guys, ultimately, all they cared about on that movie was winning a bunch of awards for it. That's it. That is it. So, you know what? Zoe got her...
hello, Zoe.
She got her Oscar. She did. She got it. And let's just... Zoe, I'm going to make a plea. Okay, no more blackface. Okay? We have not forgotten the Nina Simone blackface. All right? No more of that. No more of Emilia Perez type movies. All right? Like, if you're going to do something out of a major franchise, you're trying to branch out beyond like Guardians of the Galaxy and Avatar, let's pick some better stuff. Like, you got your Oscar, all right? So maybe just stay with the franchises. You have your Oscar. Andrew Cuomo with the dumbest tweet of the night on No Other Land. Yeah, we haven't talked about No Other Land yet, but I'll... Oh, no, that's Chris Cuomo. That's Chris Cuomo's dumbass take.
Like I said, I'm happy for Saldaña. She made history for an American of Dominican origin by winning an acting award. And so I'm just going to celebrate her win and not point out for the last time that the winners in both supporting categories were definitively either leads or co-leads in their respective films. Okay, I guess I just brought it up one last time. Emilia Perez.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's something that's got to stop, okay? The category fraud has got to stop. I think they really need to crack down on that because it's happening more and more. And you know, the problem is that then people are not understanding what like real supporting roles are. The fact that there were so many people who were confused that Isabella Rossellini got nominated for Conclave, and they're like, what? She's like not in it that much. It's because we have lost sight of what a supporting role is. And that is because of what we refer to as category fraud, when actors are submitted in, when they are submitted, but also push for being in categories that they think will be easier for them to win in. And it's usually somebody who is really a lead being put in supporting. I mean, you look at like Anthony Hopkins is in what? 13 minutes? Anthony Hopkins. How many minutes in Silence of the Lambs? 16 minutes. 16 minutes. So for people who are like, oh, this person's barely in it. As a supporting role, Anthony Hopkins won the fucking Oscar and he was in Silence of the Lambs for 16 minutes. Okay, so category fraud. I think that this might be the most blatant category fraud in recent memory. I think I would say that. Zoe Saldaña not only had the most screen time in Emilia Perez, she drives the story forward. Like, so much of the focus is on her character, even though that character was also lacking of like a real character arc. And it's like, what the fuck does this person even want? Money? Okay. Like, I just thought the writing on the character was bad, but she is really the heart of Emilia Perez. And then, you know, Kieran Culkin, his appearance was a couple minutes shorter than Jesse Eisenberg, who was listed as the lead for that film. But I think Kieran gives a lead performance. I think you watch that film and he feels like a co-lead. And the thing is like co-leads used to be a thing. Thelma and Louise, Terms of Endearment, these are all films where like co-leads, they exist. They exist and they are nominated as, they are looked at as co-leads.
Has also won Best Original Song for El Mal, a song that I don't particularly care for. And in light of all the controversy around Emilia Perez, I think that its win in the Best Original Song category proves conclusively that the Academy will never, ever give Diane Warren an Oscar. Their job on this earth is...
Okay, we have to just... Best Original Song Oscars.
And the Oscar goes to...
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit.
Mal. For Clement.
This was one of the worst moments of the night. Yes, Mick Jagger presented the award. Okay. Mick Jagger presented. It was fun. All right, it was great.
We are so grateful. Thanks to all the Academy members. Congrats to our beautiful fellow nominees. We wrote El Mal as a song to denounce corruption. And we hope it speaks to the role music and art can play and continue to play as a force of the good and progress.
Thank you to our producing the music, our publicist Thomas Miku, friends, and to our children, Marius
and Lila, we love you. And thank
Ship them to the Arctic Circle. Nandre. I was just saying, I was like, I don't think anybody hated this more than Nandre. Emilia Perez more than Nandre and Katya.
You to Emilia.
Okay, wait. I'm sorry. Before that, they start playing the music.
Passion and support.
Wait, okay.
Thank you to our family, friends, and to our children, Marius
and Lila, we love you. And thank you to Emilia.
He kind of goes, oh, okay, and starts awkwardly joining her. No, and then they start playing the music, okay? And they take this as a sign to like, let's sing with the music. Yeah, you guys, I already have acknowledged that this is very me energy, okay? But I'm still calling it out. They start playing the get off the stage, like speech over music, and okay, so this is my problem. My problem with the show is that they didn't give us audience shots. You need to fucking cut to the audience when something like that is happening. I need to see the reaction shots. All right, I need to see Ray Fiennes. I need to see Ray Fiennes' face.
Friends, and to our...
when this is happening. Where is John Lithgow? That would have been the perfect moment to go to Chekhov's gun, right? You know, you establish that this is going to happen, and then it finally happens. Okay, but Caroline, you sometimes think, yes, I know. I have haircuts energy. Okay, I understand. I will say I would never fucking do this on the Oscars stage. I just want to be so goddamn clear about that. And if you think I would, then you don't know me at all. I would never do this on an Oscars stage. If I did, I would pick a better song. I would pick a better song if I did this on stage. Motherfucking Tarek. Yeah, all right. Well, you know what? What I have going for me is that I was not involved with Emilia Perez, okay? You pull an Adrien, but it's several extra minutes of singing. Where'd you come from, Mississippi? Everyone's like, what is happening? What is going on? And then the voice crack. Oh, God, it kills me. It kills me. Do you need to run back to Bait Lords? I was playing a character, though. There's a difference there. I was playing a character. I was not giving a speech on stage at the Oscars. Okay. All right, everybody. Little sassafrasses.
Is purely to tease and to torture.
So anyway, that was one of the most what the fuck moments of the night. And we were so deprived of audience reactions, okay? It's like, give me Ariana Grande being like, you know, like what we got the whole, this entire award season, this whole award season. Like, why didn't we get the crowd shots? Why? Yeah, Ryan Gosling was not there, but that would be a very like Ryan Gosling doing this moment. Yeah, Ariana, poor sad baby dear. just a sad baby dear.
Really, if Adrian Brody hadn't talked for so long, the speech for Best Original Song would have been on my radar. When I talk about overlong acceptance speeches, they didn't just get to talk for too long. They also just kind of kept singing at the end. Maybe I'm just annoyed because I didn't realize until they went up to accept that El Mal winning means that Jacques Audiard gets to walk home with an Oscar as well. And I don't think that he should. Everybody that was in that little pot of craziness should have all walked away with nothing. And the fact that Jacques Audiard still gets an Oscar, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. But if we're going to talk about categories where the controversy definitely lost Oscars for Emilia Perez, I think you have to look at Best International Film, although I think this was a controversy that ended in the right result because I'm Still Here ended up winning Best International Film. This is the first time that Brazil has ever won the Oscar for Best International / foreign language film. I thought that I'm Still Here was a really good movie, and I didn't realize that I was actively rooting against Emilia Perez until the category came up, and I think he got the only fist pump of the night from me. The director of I'm Still
I don't know why his recording his reactions is killing me.
Here, Walter Salles gave a really good speech about dedicating the award to the actual subject of the film, Eunice Paiva, and also to the actresses
you guys,
who
I'm
brought
coming
her
to
life,
Brazil.
Fernanda Montenegro and Fernanda Torres. It was a great speech up until about 50 seconds in,
coming.
when, of course, the Academy Orchestra began playing him off.
Michael, you are the absolute best. Thank you so much.
Finally, if we're talking about winners, I think we have to talk about the Best Documentary category. In my Oscar pick show, I cast doubt on whether the Academy would be willing to give the award to No Other Lands, despite the fact that I thought it was a fantastic documentary, because it was sure to stir controversy due to its subject.
Okay, so this is the big moment of the night. Here's a thread filled with street reactions for the moment. It's so heartwarming. Let's look at this. Let's look at Brazil celebrating. You best believe I'm going to spend the rest of the night searching for videos of Brazilians reacting to I'm Still Here winning Best International Feature. That is fucking awesome. Oh, just losing their shit during Carnival. Oh my God. And then here's Rio. We are all Brazilian, okay? We are Maya Higa. We are Brazil. This makes it 4 total Oscars for South America: Argentina 2, Chile 1, and Brazil 1. This is so fun. I love this. You would think that it's like a sporting event. Oh my God. Do you think that Jacques Audiard and the the rest of the Emilia Perez cast and crew thought that Mexico would respond this way? I don't think they thought about Mexico at all.
And the Oscar goes to... I'm
Oh, I love it. Oh my God. That is it's just astounding. Wow, I mean, this just goes on and on and on. I love that too, that they have that projected on the screen. You know, it's like such a... It's such a community, it's such a communal thing with all these crowds. And it really feels like all of Brazil. It feels like Brazil really did win and celebrated that win. Here is Mexican TV. Here's how the Mexican TV reacted. Let's see. This is so funny. Look at them dancing in a circle. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am obsessed. I am obsessed with their little dance circle. It's so cute. It's so funny too that's Mexican TV celebrating that I'm still here. One.
Subject matter, which is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I was a little surprised, but also happy that No Other Land actually won, and I feel like the team behind the film, which consisted of both Israeli and Palestinian filmmakers, gave a powerful and sobering speech that mainly appealed to finding a peaceful solution between both countries.
Can't you see that we are intertwined?
I'm actually just going to go play No Other Land Oscars.
And the Oscar goes to...
You know, the other thing too is because they didn't do any audience shots, we didn't see any reactions from the audience really other than here. There's Guy Pearce. So Guy Pearce, who has been wearing, his Artists for Ceasefire pin, his Free Palestine pin, he has spoken up. He has spoken up about Palestine, and here he is.
Oh, look, Pearce.
Dapping up the team. Yeah, I think it's also, there's a lot of people who are standing, but there's also people who are sitting. And that feels intentional because enough people are standing, right? So this is really the most that we see in the crowd, and yeah, computer enhance, so we can see everyone who did not give a standing ovation. Computer enhance. Let's finish dance
To
video.
the fact that current U.S. policy may be obstructing whatever that peaceful solution might be. But overall, my hope is that no other...
Did we even finish the video? We didn't. I forgot about it, but we are finishing it.
Land's win here gets the movie out there even more so that more people can see it. Maybe people who now are able to see it could walk in with an open mind or ready to see this from a perspective where they might not have considered it before. And honestly, distributors have no excuse at this point when it comes to picking up this film for distribution. It was an Oscar hopeful, then it was an Oscar nominee, and now it is an Oscar winner. And I think that it is a very powerful film that presents a very humanistic point of view to what is a very complex problem, a problem that so many people have differing opinions on. But I think that this is an important voice that needs to be heard. And it's not just one voice. These are voices from both sides of this conflict. You know, I give Academy Award voters a lot of grief, and I think rightfully so, but I have to say, I have to tip my cap to them for the fact that they actually did give No Other Land the award for Best Documentary, knowing what they might be getting into, but also determining at the end of the day that this was indeed the most powerful nonfiction feature film that they'd seen this year. And personally, I agree. Overall, I thought that the Oscar show itself was fine. It excelled in some ways, but I think that it really was lacking in other ways. I don't think that it was the great show that they needed to put on to really put a fresh face on it and show people why they should be watching. I thought that the awards season itself was more
Not this shot of Conan.
interesting than the actual Oscars. I think Conan did about as well as I think you can do inside the confines. If he's asked back, and I'd like for him to be asked back, I'm hoping that maybe he can stretch the boundaries of what an Oscar host can do even more now that he kind of has a proof to the producers that he can carry the show. Do I think that the show won over any new fans or convinced anyone to come back to the telecast? Not necessarily, but I'm curious to see more viewers, although it would probably help if the Hulu stream had actually, worked consistently. I think what I'll really take away from this Oscar show is fonder memories of the movies themselves and some of the winners.
Every time I go to this video, I'm like, there's still more?
Than the show itself. However, the Oscars this year didn't go off the rails and didn't end in complete disaster. And given their recent track record, by Oscar standards, that's not too shabby. But what did you think? What were your favorite parts of the ceremony? What were your least favorite parts? Who do you wish had won? Let me know down in the comments below. And
well, that was a 30-minute video that I spent hours on because I had a lot of thoughts.